Hello, citizens of Gotham. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Bitcoin Vigilante. Boom, 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 boom. That's the way you can support the show. That is on-chain Bitcoin. You can also... Whoa, hold on. That's loud. Why is that? Whoa, hold on. There. Okay. We had a little echo, a little feedback. A little echo, feedback. All right. I need to befriend more lefty people who have guns because I can't afford one and don't want to go down without a fight. Jeez. Oh, wow. Are you looking forward to the new Superman movie? Yes, I am. Free Palestine, absolutely. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. What's going on? Preparing for Civil War II. Yeah, we're in a crazy place right now. We're going to talk about how the Trump administration has completely covered up the Epstein after saying not even back in February, we got the files on my desk and we're going to blah, blah, blah. That just like, so that ended quick. Yeah. So, and of course, if you, swanbitcoin.com/Graham Elwood, if you buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, Swan is a Bitcoin only exchange. You get $10 of free Bitcoin and the show gets $10. Everybody wins. MAGA got played. Yes, they did. And don't mock them. Don't say, told you so. Just say, hey, you got lied to. We got lied to by Obama. I mean, we got lied to by Obama. MAGA got played. Yeah. They wanted to believe, which is actually, it's not a thing to mock anyone or feel ashamed of, because Americans, we want to believe that we're part of American exceptionalism. Part of the lie of American exceptionalism is that there's all these great leaders. Now, we have had some good leaders. I think the last great leader this country had was JFK. Conservatives might say it was Reagan. I don't think so. But I will say this, I very much doubt Reagan would be in a Twitter fight with Elon Musk if he was president, or any billionaire. But yeah, they got played. And I'm seeing, I'm on Twitter and there's a lot of Bitcoiners that I follow and they follow me. And a lot of them voted for Trump because he was pro Bitcoin and still is. And that's like the one thing that he's actually done. And that's good, but everything else. And they're all mad at the bill. I give them credit. The Bitcoiner MAGA is at least calling out Trump for his bullshit. He said he was going to be anti-interventionist. He said he wasn't going to, do deficit spending and all that stuff, which this new bill, they're like, what? This bill is everything we said we wanted to, we supported you that you said you weren't going to do. But, Americans at the end of the day, most Americans still believe that there's this like my team is better than the other team, or one of these teams actually is redeemable and is going to do something good. Most like third-party voters, libertarians, progressive leftists, we all know these both parties are awful. We know this. I mean, libertarians are out there going, we told you. Green Party people, leftists, they're all, we told you. But, the point, there's an opportunity here to say, this is why you can't vote for anybody with an R or a D next to their name. Because at the end of the day, they will serve their corporate benefactors. The Democrats are funded by AIPAC, billionaires, and Hollywood. And the Republicans, including Trump, are funded by AIPAC, billionaires, and Hollywood, Florida. there you go. So we're also going to talk about how P. Diddy got a little slap on the wrist. And the new bill, the new tax bill is awful. You know, it's a bad thing. The Bitcoin conference was a lot of fun, folks. And we're also live streaming on my new channel, which is youtube.com/@BitcoinHollywood. So please go over and subscribe to that channel. I'm posting videos over there. And all of the interviews I did at the Bitcoin conference, I think, are up there now. And I'm going to start posting travel videos when I was in Asia in February and March. My editor's been working on that. So we're going to be posting some 5 to 7 minute clips and stuff. And yeah, I'm not really political anymore. Someone like me is better off mentally just being a counterculture bohemian guy focused on nature, the arts, writing philosophy, film, girls, meeting people. Yeah. And what I would add to that is just be of service in your community. That's what I do. I mean, be a volunteer in your community. I marched in a 4th of July parade, but it was with the American Red Cross, and I was encouraging, and we're there to encourage people to volunteer. American Red Cross is non-political, non-partisan, and it'll just help people that have been affected by a disaster. That's what it does. And it collects blood, you know, and those are both positive things. I signed up for Bitcoin Hollywood. The fees are really reasonable. Yeah. So that's what I say. I mean, I vote in every election because the two-party system wants people to stay home and not vote. So I want to vote, but I'm also not naive thinking we're going to fix it all with electoral politics. I vote because there's local ballot measures that really are important. Like in California, we just passed ballot measure AB 1138, I believe, which is doubling the amount of tax breaks if you do production in Los Angeles and in the state of California. And I think that's good for the California economy. That's good for my business. I'm in the entertainment industry. And that's a bill that was passed because a lot of people in the entertainment industry, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry, which fuels the Los Angeles economy and large portions of the California economy and the United States economy. So when people in red states are like, Hollywood, there's much to criticize Hollywood on, for sure, on the content that it chooses to put out there and its pushing of certain messaging and stuff like that. But also Hollywood, you know, it drives the economy. It's one of the chief exports of the United States. So that's a local ballot measure that I voted for. That's a local ballot measure that my union, SAG, and the Producers Guild, I'm a member of. SAG is a union, and the Producers Guild is like just a professional nonprofit organization. We don't have, pension and healthcare the way SAG or the Writers Guild or Directors Guild have. But we sent 200,000 emails were sent to the California State Legislature from all of the Directors Guild, the Writers Guild, SAG, and the Producers Guild. So that's where like electoral politics can move the needle, is on a local level, for sure. You pressure local politicians, they're going to do something. Trump wants a concentration camp in every red state, all 26 of them. Poland had 6 extermination camps and 457 concentration camps. Hitler reincarnated. I mean, Trump really wants to start a war here. Yep, I know. It's awful. It's awful what's going down. But there was 6 cities in Southern California that canceled their fireworks, or parades on this past 4th of July because they're Latino communities and no one's coming out in the Latino. They were afraid to come out. I talked to people that live in Latino communities in LA, and they were scared to come out. They interviewed the mayor of Huntington Park, and he's like, every year we do movies in the park. They have like a park in downtown Huntington Park, apparently, when they do movies. And he goes, our last one, there was 4 families. Nobody was there. no one's showing up because people are afraid to come out. So we had to cancel it because it's not worth it financially. People are afraid to go to a 4th of July parade. People are afraid to go to fireworks. People are afraid to, and people are, yeah, but they're illegals. I heard some people I support. I go, has ICE arrested some people with criminal records? I'm sure that they have. People who are illegal immigrants who have committed crimes and should be not in this sent back. I'm sure that they have. And they've arrested innocent people. And I'm sorry, that's a crime. That's wrong. And if they're just kicking down doors, and, a woman who works at my bank said, oh, she lives in a Latino community. She goes, yeah, it's scary. And I go, ISIS. She goes, oh yeah, they've snatched people up at school, at church, at work. They're going into churches and pulling people out of there. And, it's a crazy, that's not a good thing. And people who supported Trump or support that, who think they won't come for them, it's amazing. Like, yeah. My best friend in Chicago was born here, but he's of Mexican descent and has tattoos. He no longer leaves his house except to go to work. But yeah, I'm down to help around my community. I may vote or not, but I think it's going to change. Even if Bernie was president, they would have blocked his agenda. Maybe, yeah. I know. I don't really like to get into the red and blue false paradigm, but I learned on an interesting fact the other day is that many blue states actually provide tax dollars that support the red states. Of course, California, when the red state, communist California. Well, California, we fund a lot of red states because California has the 4th largest economy in the world. Yeah, in the world. You know who's ahead of us? The United States, China, and Russia, and then California. And that's with all of it. And California is not, there's a lot of problems in this state. I am not a fan of Gavin Newsom. I don't think he's doing a good job at all, but the California economy is still pretty amazing. Between agriculture, between tech, between aerospace, between entertainment, these are all multi-billion-dollar industries, man. California has a population of about 40 million people. So, yeah. All right, well, let's get our first segment. Remember, folks, you can support by doing a super chat, which is great. You can support us with a super chat, and then of course there is the donating Bitcoin. That's our on-chain address. It's a great way to support our show, but let me get our first segment ready to go. Let's get this ready to go. Hold on. DOJ may. All right. Here we go. Had it. Having some. Okay. We'll be right back in less than 10 seconds with our first hot, fresh segment. Hello, citizens of Gotham. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Bitcoin Vigilante. Listen to my Buddhist boods. My Buddhist boods. I was trying to say Buddhist beads. Buddhist boods. Sorry, guy. I had a vegan smoothie after yoga today. I'm all hopped up on just hot yoga and veganness. Sorry, man. I'm all crazy chakra crystal haze. Anyway, you can support our show with Bitcoin right there. There's other ways to support the show here. So if you're new to this channel, I have been talking about Epstein for 6 years, since 2019. I have definitely pulled back on my coverage of this because I was censored. In February of 2021, I was demonetized by YouTube, which was about 50% of the show's revenue. And they did that to me for 2.5 years. They brought it back in July of 2023 or August of 23, but I've been shadow banned. And so I rarely talk about this because A, it's a painful subject to talk about because it's just so evil and brutal. And B, it helped me grow the channel, but then it also, they attacked me for it. Yeah. So people say, oh, Graham, your channel has lost viewers because you stopped, you disagreed with this alcoholic cult leader. And I said, no, February of 2021 was before any of that stuff went down, before any of that mandate, any of that stuff went down. So I've been demonetized. It was 2.5 years and they've targeted me and everything, but I have to cover this because one of the things that Trump ran on was I'm going to expose the Epstein. And it was this narrative that came out of the MAGA camp was only the Democrats have ties to Epstein. Now, I've shown you on this program, I have a whole Epstein playlist on my regular YouTube channel. I have a new YouTube channel, Bitcoin Hollywood. Please go there and subscribe. But I have a whole Epstein playlist. I interviewed numerous people, Whitney Webb. I interviewed CIA whistleblower John Kiriakou. I've interviewed a lot of people. I've covered this extensively. And I showed how Trump had ties to Epstein. I showed this. He was on his plane 5 times. He said, Maxwell, I wish her well. People were trafficked out of Mar-a-Lago. Alex Acosta was one of the people in Florida when Epstein got arrested the first time in 2009, 2010, where he was given a sweetheart deal. Alex Acosta said in an interview, he was told that Epstein was a CIA asset. And that's why Epstein got that sweetheart deal where he basically went to a day camp prison and he could fly around on his jet as long as he was home in time for supper at the prison or whatever rich guy nonsense. And that Acosta was then put into Trump's cabinet. I showed numerous ties, but a lot of the MAGA people didn't want to believe it. No, it's just the Clintons. It's just the Clintons. And the Clintons are awful. They have ties. Bill Clinton was on Epstein's plane 26 times. Hillary was on twice. But this is why even the Bitcoin people who were pro-Trump, I said, you guys, if you're Bitcoiners, I'm assuming the reason you're Bitcoiners is you don't like the central banks, you don't like governments, but you're going to trust Trump. They got bamboozled. They got tricked. They got hoodwinked. And I'm not here to say I told you so because look, I was one of the liberals that got duped by Obama. He said he was going to get us out of wars and he dropped more bombs than Bush. He said he was going to help the corrupt banking system and he bailed the banks out. He gave the banks more stimulus money than Bush did. And 6 million foreclosures happened and my home was one of them. So I don't like either party. And when it comes to Epstein, they all have ties to him. And the most egregious cover up of all is what has just happened in the last 5-6 months. This is Pam Bondi, head of the DOJ, appointed by Donald Trump on Fox News in February. This is what she said. February.
Be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
It's sitting on my desk right now. That's been a directive. That's been a directive from President Trump. It's sitting on my desk right now. That's been a directive from Donald Trump. It's sitting on my desk right now. So now this, they just released, I mean, get this, there's a lot of stuff to go through. They just released this statement here. Let me bring this up. Then they just said, this was on Fox Online. Bondi under siege after DOJ reveals there's no Epstein client list. Oh, what? So I guess Epstein and Maxwell just trafficked all those kids into an empty field. That sounds reasonable. And this is the press conference where they, again, this is now Trump was going to be, I'm straightforward. Biden and the Dems are all lying, which Biden and the Dems are filthy liars, but so is Trump. Trump is a filthy, maggot-ridden, soulless liar, just like the Democrats. This is why I've said this from 6 years ago when Epstein was arrested and then, he died in prison. He was on suicide watch, which you're given paper clothing. You're in a room where you can't hang yourself with anything. The cameras happened to go down and Epstein hung himself with a paper t-shirt. So now, this is what the press conference just had, where this reporter asked said, why is Pam Bondi? And this is on Fox. So I'm seeing conservative Trump supporters like, wait a minute. Are they going to let this slide? Are they going to be just as bad? One of the things they always accuse is Democrats don't hold their leaders accountable. This is the problem in the two-party system. As someone that's an independent that thinks both parties are awful, this is what both parties do. When their guy lies or does something wrong, they go, well, they make excuses for it. Like listening to all those Democrats and all those liberals last summer make excuses for Joe Biden having clear dementia. And they covered it up and said, wasn't that bad? Oh, it's ageism and meow, 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 meow. No, you were lying. Joe Biden clearly had dementia. Anyone over the age of 40 that's had a parent or a grandparent or an aunt or uncle with dementia saw Joe Biden was doing the same thing. You all saw that. So now Trump said, and he started it after he got sworn in January 20th, this is rolling, MAGA, make America great. Boom. I got Epstein's list on my desk. Pam Bondi, head of the DOJ, appointed by Trump, said that on Fox News, and now she's saying, oh, it's no big deal. And this is what the press conference was. Let's go to then the actual press conference. Here it is right here. Let's go to this press conference. This is Trump's press secretary.
That's transparency.
Oh, sure. Okay, so the FBI looked at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. General said she had on her desk.
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox
I've
News.
got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat.
Distraction.
Our murder rate trending.
Distraction.
Direction in United States.
Distraction.
Their emphasis on
Distraction.
locking up violent criminals has
Oh,
led to the arrest of
distraction.
16,000 violent criminals.
Distraction.
62%
Wow.
increase from the same time period last year.
Wow.
So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people
Distraction.
behind bars where they belong. They promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
Bullshit. 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 Hey, MAGA supporters. This is I just showed you the video. Pam Bondi said that this file is on my desk, and then they reviewed it and there was nothing in it. I showed you the head of the FBI a week or so ago, who last year was like, the Democrats are hiding this up. And then last month he goes on Joe Rogan. He's like, no, there's nothing. We got it. You have to be absolutely, you're looking right in the face of the American people and saying, you're stupid. That guy who was calling that question, he was a Fox News reporter. And then they're committed. And then she gives all these stats about the murder rate. Okay, great. You're making the murder rate drop. And what about raping children? What about raping children? Oh, here's what's happening. As I've shown to you on this show for 6 years, go back and review my Epstein playlist. The wealthiest, most powerful people in the world are involved in this. Ghislaine Maxwell's dad was in Mossad. John Kiriakou, ex-CIA whistleblower who was on this show, when I asked him in September of 2019, I said, when you heard that Epstein died in prison, what was your first thought? And he called up a friend from the CIA and said, he called up his buddy and go, this has to be the Israelis, right? Meaning Mossad. This is typically how Mossad does things. I said, what about, wouldn't it be China or Russia? He goes, China doesn't do that kind of espionage. They're all computer espionage. They're all digital espionage. Because this is out of the Mossad playbook. And he told me that there was roughly 100 and some Mossad agents operating illegally in this country that the United States turns a blind eye to. Not my words. Go watch the interview. I don't know these things. I'm a stand-up comedian that surfs and drinks vegan smoothies. But an ex-CIA agent said this to me on this show. The wealthiest, most powerful. This is why every time anybody gets close, we're going to reveal Epstein. All of a sudden, nope. And they always just try to, put it to bed. You want to do something fun in your spare time? Go to the DOJ's website and try to find a mugshot for Ghislaine Maxwell. Look up the Whitey Bulger case. You'll find a mugshot. Look up the EpSt3in case. Two very big, high profile, a lot of media surrounding it. Those Whitey Bulger and EpSt3in have mugshots. Now, in federal trials, cameras are not allowed in the courtroom. So it's all that sketch drawing stuff. But the mugshots are on there. There's no mugshot for Ghislaine Maxwell. Where is she right now? Oh, that's right. 2 years ago? Or no, 3 years ago in 2022, when the SCOTUS leak that they were going to overturn Roe v. Wade, which I believe was May 2nd. On that day that leak came forward, everyone's like, oh my God, the Supreme Court's going to overturn Roe v. Wade. On that same day, Ghislaine Maxwell was moved from New York to a minimum security prison in Florida. No press. You would think there'd be press and paparazzi and, showing her walking and, because there's all those photos of Whitey Bulger when they captured him right here in Santa Monica. He'd been hiding out in Santa Monica for 30 years or something like that. When they finally arrested him, cameras everywhere, photos of him getting arrested, back of the squad car, orange jumpsuit after the arraignment, all this stuff. None of that with Ghislaine Maxwell. None of it. And they want you to believe they had the files on my desk and then, nope, it's gone. It all just got shoved away. And the American people are just supposed to buy this. Alex Dasleby, shave your knuckles for justice. Epstein self-deleted and all video photos and all that Liz Bondi and Cash talked about were empty and also didn't exist. Who'd have known? Yeah, I know. I guess when she meant I have the Epstein file on my desk, it was empty. It was just an empty folder. It was just a couple of blank sheets of paper going, Epstein acted alone. Go back to sleep. That's what was in that file. Or ask too many questions and you might end up hanging yourself with a paper t-shirt. Or they just, in the file was just Gary Webb's obituary. Oh, this reporter that uncovered the United States was, buying crack cocaine from the Iran-Contra scandal, shot himself in the head twice, and it was ruled a suicide or something, or they just showed here's the physics behind Lee Harvey Oswald's bullet defying the laws of gravity going through 3 people. Gee, you wouldn't want that to happen to you, would you, Pam? This is Trump going to get to the truth of it all. Bullshit. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. The ruling elites, many of them are pedophiles. I mean, we could go through the whole thing. I could show you the interviews with the women who said Ghislaine Maxwell participated. Ghislaine Maxwell wasn't just the madam. She wasn't just a recruiter and a groomer. She participated. Ghislaine Maxwell is a rapist and a pedophile. Find me one story about the Maxwell trial that referred to her as a pedophile or a rapist. They won't do it. When that trial was happening in December 2021, in that trial, it revealed that Trump, who was believed at that time to only be on one flight of Epstein's, they found 4 more. So a total of 5. And the media said nothing about it. Not even CNN or MSNBC that hate Trump. And they love calling out all of his awfulness because they knew that if they called that out, they would have to talk about the Clintons. And that ain't going to happen. So everybody just got quiet on it. And most people don't want to swallow the pill. It's too painful to think that the whole world is run by evil, sex trafficking pedophiles. It's a lot easier to think that there's this team, the other team, the red team or the blue team's bad. All my liberal friends are like, if we just get rid of Trump, everything will be better. And last summer, all my conservative friends were like, man, if we defeat Harris and Biden, then everything will be better. That's a more simple place to live. My team good, your team bad, because the knowledge that the whole system is run by evil people is a hard pill to swallow. But that's what's happening. And Trump's Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, woman, if we get more women in power, things will be better. Really? They're just as awful. And I'm not saying women shouldn't be in power or things should only be run by men. But when I hear like the liberal feminists say more women in power, what kind of women? Are they good women or are they awful women? Let's get good people regardless of gender, sexual orientation. I don't care. I'm not saying we need a bunch of Irish guys in power, only if they're good. I wouldn't vote for RFK Jr. if you put a gun to my head. I'd vote for Mamdani in New York or Kashwama Sawant, who's a DSA, Democratic Socialist in Seattle. I'd vote for them. They don't look like me. They don't have the same background as me. They're both fighting for the people. Bernie Sanders, old Jewish kind of fake socialist from Vermont. He doesn't look like me. We don't have the same ethnic background. Why did I vote for him? Because of his policy. Why did I vote for Dr. Jill Stein? Her policy. I don't care that she's a Jewish woman. The only thing that matters about her being Jewish is the fact she's a Jewish woman that is against the genocide that Israel is committing. That's relevant. Wake up, MAGA. You've been had. You've been lied to. Here's the evidence. FBI, the head of the FBI appointed by Trump, the head of the DOJ appointed by Trump. The head of the FBI's wife served in the Israeli army. Just something to bring up. There's Mossad and CIA all around this. Nope, no evidence. So when you saw those videos back in 2019, when Epstein was arrested, where the FBI, these are taped, you can go online and see them, the FBI wheeling out dollies stacked with books and boxes of information at Epstein. There was no evidence in there, none. No videos, no photos, nothing. They just, nope. It was all just what? Comic books? We're all supposed to believe that. The most notorious sex trafficking pedophile that we've ever known about in the world, there's no evidence. Oh, okay. Sounds good to me. I mean, I believe it. I believe it. Sure. Sounds good to me. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Epstein hung himself with a paper t-shirt. The Gulf of Tonkin, really, that was just, a ship blew itself up. Yeah. Building 7, totally makes sense. Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone gunman. Yep. Totally believable. Yep. And the Loch Ness Monster, Santa Claus. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth, everybody, and shave your knuckles for justice. This is probably going to get me demonetized or shut down again or whatever, man. Support me, whatever. This is why I own Bitcoin and I keep it in cold storage, because they can't freeze my money. This country is pure evil. It is pure evil. Trump is evil. The Democrats are evil. People want to turn a blind eye. They want to turn a blind eye to this. Clinton supporters want to turn, Hillary supporters, they want to turn a blind. They're like, Bill's not good, but Hillary, she's good. What? Bill was on 26 times on his plane. Hillary was on twice. Bill and Hillary were at Epstein's compound in New Mexico numerous times. I'm not making this up. But America is addicted to the red versus blue. It's addicted to the my team's better than your team. America is addicted, like a crackhead, like a meth head, like an alcoholic, like someone that's 150 pounds overweight. They're addicted. They're addicted to it. They're addicted to, look, my team isn't perfect, but they're better than the other team. That is the addiction of America. And that's what allows this evil to continue. I'm listening to liberals like, we need to take over Congress. Who's we? The Democratic Party? This is Obama who dropped more bombs than Bush? That guy? Okay, what Trump is doing is awful. I don't like that there's ICE going into Latino neighborhoods and locking people up. And many of those people are legal immigrants or American born here, American citizens, but they just happen to have Latino names and accents or whatever, brown skin. This is what happens. And if you're a Bitcoiner watching this, never forget, it is not red versus blue. It is the state versus you. Remember this. Or go back to sleep, man. Yeah. Pam Bondi's right. No, they searched it and everyone's innocent. Yeah. Okay. It's madness, man. I feel like I'm the one going crazy. America is a cult with competing cults. And everyone doesn't want to look at their cult that they support. Follow money, connect the dots, get the truth, shave your knuckles for justice. Hello. Unalive. Yeah, I forgot to mention Virginia Giuffre. 3 Colts in a trench coat. Blaze Saver Wolf is here. Also, they dumbed us down to the extent that we are most able to comprehend red versus blue versus nuanced policy arguments that go over our heads. It works in their favor. God, that's a great point. Why would a woman be on a flight to Epstein Island? Because there's female pedophiles. Fan of fanfic, shave your knuckles for justice. Thanks for supporting us. It's amazing that when the candidate is an immigrant socialist Muslim who is pro-Palestine, how quickly vote blue no matter who goes out the window. Oh man, he was attacked by not just the Republicans. Obviously, the Republicans are going to go after him. He was attacked by Democrats. Right? Isn't that nuts? The list has way too many powerful people on it, like you always said, Bub. Thank you, Blaze Silverwolf. Some form of parlor game where all the participants come up with their favorite false flag or lie that has been made in the history of our planet. I know. The concept that many of these elites are pedophiles relates seemingly to the arguments made by metaphysicians in their view of the world. Thoughts? Wow, that's an interesting thing concerned metaphysicians. I don't know the extent of that. Yeah. I still owe $250 on my student loan and the IRS wants some money. Turns out there's nothing about this in the files on my desk. Two can play that game. Yeah. Where was the Luigi style perp walk of Maxwell? Exactly. God bless Virginia Free for speaking up. I don't believe she unalived herself one bit. No, she didn't. And I should have forgot to mention that in the segment. She said, I will never commit suicide. And then, oh, weird, she commits suicide. Yeah, of course. Of course. Let's get our next segment ready. Fan of fanflick, shave your knuckles for justice. Remember red or blue. We all look the same when we're being positioned face down, getting railed by the upper 1% like a cheap hooker. No, you are sadly correct. It's a great point. I was 18 in 2006 when Loose Change came out. It unlocked my skepticism. Next thing I knew, I was watching the JFK tape and learning about the Gulf of Tonkin. Felt like getting out of the Matrix. Yep. I know. I know. All right, let's get our next segment queued up. All right, folks, I'll be back in less than 10 seconds with our next Hot Fresh segment. Hello, citizens of Gotham. My name is Graham Elwood, and you're watching the Bitcoin Vigilante. Meow, meow. So we just talked about another segment we did about how Trump appointed director of the DOJ, Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, said, no, we went through all the Epstein files, nothing in them. After in February saying those files are on my desk and heads are going to roll. That, what is it? Cash, who was head of the FBI a year ago during the campaign, was like, Democrats are covering this up. We need to get them. Last month went on Joe Rogan and said, I went through everything. There was nothing there. Oh, golly gee. So this is the ruling elites. And, you know, obviously there's the most powerful people are in all of that evidence that was seized by the FBI, and the powerful people came in and made sure it won't ever get the light of day. And the P. Diddy verdict just came out last week. Gee, all these powerful names were mentioned that went to the freak offs. So surely all those names are going to come out in the trial. Nope. Sean Diddy Combs acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering, convicted on prostitution-related accounts. Oh, wow. Was found guilty Wednesday of transportation to engage in prostitution in his federal trial in New York City. But the music mogul was acquitted on the most severe charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. Combs will remain in detention while he awaits his sentencing. How did he react to the verdict? After the jury, four-person announced not guilty on the racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charge involving Combs' former girlfriend, the R&B singer known as Cassie. Combs put a hand to his face, his fingers resting on his temples. When he heard the word guilty for count 3, the first prosecution-related charge, he was startled. But then not guilty came for the second sex trafficking count involving another former girlfriend who testified under the pseudonym James. Combs held hands with attorney Terry Garagos and leaned in to talk to her. When the most powerful people are involved, it's going to come back not guilty, acquitted. Epstein, I said this, I have a video on my Epstein playlist. When he was first arrested, I said, if he doesn't get if he gets paroled, he's going to walk. I said, if they deny his bail, they're going to kill him in prison. I said that. I predicted that, and that happened. So, and I believe Epstein was middle management. This is what Maria Farmer said in an interview. Maria Farmer, who was a victim of Epstein. So once you understand like how it works, you know, Maxwell, I believe, has all of these videos and everything that hold all of these evil people accountable. And she basically said, if I go down this hard drive with all this info goes on the internet, and it's basically, its nickname is called like a kill switch. Like, I'll do this and you're all fried. Maxwell, evil person. The women that were trafficked and raped by Epstein and Maxwell said she was even worse. She was worse. One of the victims was like, I was raped 3 times a day and Ghislaine Maxwell needs to rot in hell. He said she was worse. Worse than Epstein. She treated them like trash. Like the girls called them little rats and just like, she was awful. So my point here with P. Diddy is they don't want these tapes getting out. He videotaped all these freak-offs, and I'm sure he used it to extort people. But the most powerful, P. Diddy is not the head of a snake. He is a middle management guy. And I'm sure these powerful people said, if that videotape gets out with me in it or whatever, you're done. You're gonna die in prison. You're gonna hang yourself with a paper T-shirt on the day the cameras go bad, just like what happened with Epstein. Oh, zoinks! These video cameras always go blinkety blinkety right when someone's being murdered. So that's why he got acquitted. Is they were like, and there's some people in the media who are saying they're playing. I think it was some prominent people were like, oh, he was framed or whatever, which will just help the keep everybody fighting about this narrative. It's another, he's acquitted and no one will ask, why weren't these names? He was acquitted last week. And then the DOJ said last night, that there's nothing. These things are related. The P. Diddy and Epstein are related. Was Diddy working with Epstein? I don't think so. I don't see any evidence of that. I could be wrong. But what is similar is they both had sex trafficking and rape and definitely pedophiles. I mean, definitely. You look at like all those creepy videos of how P. Diddy talked to and with Justin Bieber, those videos when Justin Bieber was like at some award show and, Pink is forcing there's these grown women in their 30s are like forcing this kid to make out with them on camera at an award show. Demi Moore. It's creepy. If a 30-something-year-old man was doing that to a teenage girl, people would go nuts, and rightfully so. But somehow it's okay for women to rape boys. That's something that's okay. We have a very sick, twisted society, and this society it's an evil society. America is evil. It's evil. Hollywood is evil. The Washington, D.C. is evil. Republicans are evil. Democrats are evil. A lot of A-list celebrities are evil. Not all of them. I'm not like doing QAnon like it's all a satanic sex cult. There's some good, talented, decent people in Hollywood. I've met them. I've worked with them. But there's some evil. There's just evil. I'm sorry, man. There's evil. There's evil here, and you're confronted with it here. I was propositioned when I came here as a young man in my 20s. Absolutely. I know so many people that were. And you get a little fame. I got a little bit of fame. And then there's some like, hey, you willing to come by this party? And I saw some stuff that I was like, didn't flat out see like a freak off. Didn't see that. But I saw like the party changed around midnight. And I was like, this is a weird energy. Let's get out of here. There's some people hanging out in the back room and in the hot tub and some weird, it was just like, whoa, this is there's a weird energy here. I'm out of here. So I can't say I actually saw it. And no one came to me and said, hey, you want to have an orgy with children? Nobody said that to me. But I just felt like there's some creepy shit here. I just sensed creepy energy. And I had a producer like tell me I'm cute and this and that. If it was gay man. And I'm straight, but if I would have slept with him, I'm sure it would have helped my career. Some older female producers when I was in my 20s. The fact that they're like there's only men are creepy. No, women abuse their power too. So, and then again, I worked with some really awesome, talented people in Hollywood that are they're very creative and they just want to express themselves, and movies and TV shows are a wonderful medium to do that. So I'm not going to and Washington, D.C. is an awful, evil, corrupt place. Trump is corrupt. The Clintons are corrupt. They're all evil, corrupt people. I don't trust any of the ruling elites at all. None. And that's why I'm so perplexed by so many people in Bitcoin that are pro-Trump. I understand the single issue Bitcoin voters who said, look, Trump said he's in favor of Bitcoin. He spoke at the Bitcoin convention in Nashville in 2024. And so they went, I'm a single issue voter. He's going to be good for Bitcoin. Trump has been good for Bitcoin. That's a fact. I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. I can show you all the things that are bad about him and that one good thing about he's good for Bitcoin. But that Bitcoiners were like going all in on this guy. I would never vote for Trump. I never would, never. Even if when he said I'm good for, and my Bitcoin has gone, the value of my Bitcoin has gone up for sure. But he still has too much evil attached to him. I'm not gonna just chase money so much that I'm going to turn a blind eye to evil. Biden, Harris, Trump, the Clintons, the Bushes, the Obamas, they're all the same in my book. And the evidence supports it. So P. Diddy was acquitted. There's rumors of, J-Lo at his parties, of maybe Obama, all that stuff Cat Williams said last year on the Shay Shay podcast. Sounded a little crazy at the time. Now it's starting to make sense. 50 Cent is still trolling P. Diddy because 50 Cent knows what was up. But I guess the jury can't, which just shows you how powerful the ruling elites are. They can sway a jury. They can threaten a jury. They can say you should vote this way. They can buy a jury off. They can say, boy, I hope nothing happens to your kid if this evidence comes out, whatever they do. Or they find your weak spot. Oh man, you 6 months behind on your mortgage. Here's a bunch of money to get you right with your mortgage. Just vote not guilty. And you're a regular working class person who's got laid off and you're in a lot of trouble financially, and there's no way for you to just suddenly summon hundreds of thousands of dollars into your life. That doesn't happen to regular working class people. And then here's some money. And then if you say, I ain't doing that, that's not right. And they say, wow, I hope nothing bad happens to your kids that go to this elementary school on these days. We know when, then they do that game. These are the wealthiest, most powerful people in the world, and they will do anything to protect their power. I know this sounds like crazy conspiracy, but tell me how P. Diddy was acquitted. Tell me how Pam Bondi, the Department of Justice, the head of the DOJ, who in February said on Fox News, I have the Epstein file on my desk. We are reviewing it. She goes through all that evidence and nothing happens. There's all this evidence against P. Diddy and nothing happens. Am I crazy? Am I the wacky tinfoil hat guy? I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk about this on a podcast. I want to make movies. I want to be doing comedy shows. I want to make a fun game show. I want to do documentaries about music and getting people united and fun. But I can't turn a blind eye to this evil, and I have no real power. I got a camera and a microphone. This is what I'm good at. I'm good at articulating things, but I have no power. I've been censored. I've been demonetized. I have nothing. I got to say something though. I got to say something. Just be good in your neighborhood, be volunteer, help out in your community, be good to your neighbor, and keep a wide eye open for pure evil. And evil will come to you smiling, looking nice. It'll come to you as someone who's your friend. It'll come to you as really attractive person, male or female, whatever you're into. They'll come at you really attractive. They'll agree with all of your causes. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. Shave your knuckles for justice. I wish you could do more comedy shows. Saw you and Ron in Minneapolis a few years ago. Been waiting for you to come back. That was such a great show. In a sane world, we would be talking about universal healthcare right now and being excited when our age group is getting implemented. Yeah. Evil is winning left and right. What will turn the tide, I wonder, is this just how the rest of life will go? I said the pedophiles are targeted. I meant to say young children are targeted by pedophiles because of their unique life force. Yeah. You don't like it in America, why don't you live somewhere else? Because America's claws reach elsewhere. Nothing good ever happens at a party after midnight. Yep. That's what the metaphysicians say, that there is true evil in the world. Let's talk about that. Because I was always like on the fence about that, to be honest with you, concerned. And I'm glad you brought this up, but I truly believe that that's accurate. I believe several things. First of all, there's people that are born relatively good, but there was abuse and childhood trauma that made them bad, you know? And had they not been abused as a kid, either violently, sexually abandoned, whatever, they would have had a decent, normal life. I firmly believe that. And that's why like protecting kids is so important. And then though, there are some people that are just born evil. And I first really realized that when they talked about, because I looked at a lot of like serial killers, and a lot of serial killers were like tortured as children, just awful stuff, sexually tortured, just horrible, horrible stuff. And then it was like Jeffrey Dahmer. And by all accounts, he had a pretty normal childhood. Nice little Midwestern Milwaukee family, but he was just doing evil. He was just born evil. And I think there's true. I think there are just some evil people in the world. I think there is some evil forces and evil energy. And I don't want to be all like, the devil made me. Like I don't like going down that road because it just sounds a little like woo-woo crazy. But I think there is just pure evil energy. There is just people that are evil. They're just evil. You look at the Nazis in Germany. Did they all have childhood trauma? I don't think so. I think they just were evil. They were cold, calculated evil. You know, there's people that were abused who react and they want revenge. So in most stories, films, books, movies, the difference between the hero and the villain is how they react, just in general. Like most heroes and villains had something bad happen to them. The hero says, something bad happened to me. I want to make sure this never happens to anybody again. I want to make sure nobody suffers the way I suffered. The villain says, I want to make sure everybody suffers the way I suffered, right? It's a pretty standard tale. And I think that's a lot of people that are out in the world who are mean or angry or in a bad mood or yelling at you. They probably are in a lot of pain. They had some painful thing happened and they want revenge or whatever. They're just sad. They're in a lot of pain. Because I've dealt with that myself, and I've met a lot of people who've gone through that, and they, you know, I know a lot of people that are in recovery, recovered alcoholics and drug addicts, and they did a lot of destructive things to themselves and to other people, and it's because they had severe childhood trauma, and they used drugs and alcohol, and then they got sober and they went to then like being of service is a big part of 12-step recovery. But then I think there's just a small percentage of people that are just pure evil. And you can't do anything with them. You know, it's like a pit bull that was abused can be dangerous, but a pit bull are really nice, sweet dogs. But then there's rattlesnakes. And they were born rattlesnakes, man. And you can't pet a rattlesnake. You can't play with one. You can't teach it to be cute or fun. A pit bull that was abused can become violent, but they can be retrained to not be violent. You know, that can happen, but a rattlesnake is a rattlesnake. So I'm glad you brought that up. Abuse is often an explanation. The problem is when people are allowed to use this as an excuse. Huge difference between an explanation and an excuse. And if you know, you know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people say, well, I was abused as a kid, so I get to be a dick. Well, that's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. People who say, I was abused as a kid, that's why I did those awful things, but I am responsible for my behavior. I'm sorry I did those awful things, and I'm actively working to never do them again. That's recovery. Look at the people who now Christian cheering on possibly being eaten by alligators. They want to televise. Yeah, it's crazy. This may sound a bit woo-woo, but drugs are a gateway to weird and awful behavior. I don't think that's woo-woo. I think that's science, Firewater. I think you bring up a great point. when you start doing drugs and alcohol, especially as an adolescent or something, you're chemically altering the human brain isn't fully developed till almost 25. So I think it's a great point, and we should research that from a science standpoint. They've done some research, like especially teenagers that do meth, they're stunting the growth of their brain. Their brain is not in its a developmental stage. You're pumping it full of all these evil chemicals, which can do God knows what. So I think it's a great point, and I don't think it's woo-woo. I think it's actual. There's actually some science and research behind that to back that up. Because think about how, susceptible the human brain is, especially as a child, adolescent, preteen, teen, early 20s. The frontal lobe isn't fully developed till 25. And you manipulate that with drugs and alcohol. And I would even argue now it's being manipulated with the social media. And I just see people just like this, and it's scary. I'm like, they're just zombies, and whatever's on that phone is influencing them. And in some ways it's like, oh, they're getting some information that the corporate media isn't showing them. Okay. But I'm seeing like crazy behavior patterns just in the last couple of years. So I think you bring up a valid point, and that's a really good discussion. So do me a favor, guys. Go over to @Bitcoin Hollywood and subscribe and hit the like button. Well, it's amazing too, because there are documented cases of people with head injuries having whole new personalities, sometimes acquiring new accent or language, not a soul, completely the brain. Yeah. The worst thing I did was make a crawfish fight each other that I caught with my bare hands in a stream in Poland when I was 6 years old, and I still feel bad about it. Yeah, because you have humanity and compassion. And this goes back to what Fanfix just said. One of the things they found in a lot of serial killers, not all of them, is there was some type of physical abuse when they were infants or small children. And the part of the brain that had empathy and compassion was damaged. So you did that thing that you're just a kid being, whatever, experimenting, being crazy with the crawfish. And you said, I want to see what happens when they fight. And then the part of your brain that has empathy went, whoa, maybe this is bad. And you still feel bad about it because you have that part of your brain. Now imagine if that was damaged, like kids were beaten in the crib, like small child, infants. And that part of the brain, the empathy part of the brain, we all can get mad, God damn it, and then think, oh God, I'm so sorry I yelled at that person, or, oh God, I never should have spanked my child that hard. Oh, I feel bad. I lost control. But if you don't, they studied a lot of serial killers and they didn't have that part of the brain. So they would make the crawdads fight and they'd go, sweet, or they'd kill someone and go, They just look at it like, awesome. There was no like, oh my God, what have I done? So yeah, it's a great conversation, you guys. I'm going to go grab dinner. Talking about the EpSt's, why I don't talk about it that often is it's hard for me to discuss. I'll just be honest with you. It's hard. I need to, after this live stream, I need to just kind of chill out, maybe go to the beach, because it's just pure evil and and what the DOJ did and what the Epstein acquittal did is it's saying evil wins. And that's just hard for me to deal with. It's hard for me to deal with. And I feel very powerless about it. And I don't have a lot of power. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not a billionaire. I'm a thousandaire. And in this life, in this world, there's not a lot of power you have. I don't even have like 1 million or 2 million followers. I got less than 70,000 and I'm demonetized every day. We got 40 people, 39 people watching. You know? So thanks for watching, you guys. Thanks for supporting the show. I appreciate it. Some kids would keep going and move on to larger animals than humans. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Blaze Silver Wolf. Thank you, everybody who did the super chats. I really appreciate it. Please go over to Bitcoin Hollywood and hit the subscribe button, and then just watch some of the videos and like them and put some comments, because all that stuff feeds the algorithm. Share them on your social media if you can. Even if you're like, oh, Graham, I only have a small amount of followers, that sharing is really what spikes the algorithm. So share any of those videos. That all that stuff helps. Donate when you can. You know, buy Bitcoin, put it on cold storage. This is not financial advice. Let's fight in the comments. First Bitcoin Hollywood this week. You don't have to fight in the comments, but just like, yeah, I love, just agree with each other. That's awesome. You're right. Totally right on. We don't need any negativity. Just be positive. Do I know when the next episode of Secrets is? Lee is traveling right now. He's in Europe. And so we're trying to figure that out. Big time zone switch. So I just texted him today. We're going to try to figure that out. Hopefully we can get one out there, because I love doing GovSeeks. T. Jones, shave your knuckles for justice. Thank you for supporting what we do, you guys. They will not win. They will lose. They have lost already. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. Evil wins when we say nothing about it, but they have not won. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for supporting what we do. You can also support the show at Swan Bitcoin. If you buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, you get $10 free in Bitcoin, and I get $10. So everybody wins. It's like the end of Civil War II, but we can call Canada, Mexico for help. I'm sure they wanted us after all the insults from Trump. Stay safe out there. Be nice to your neighbors. You know what I mean? Eat healthy, exercise, go outdoors, be in nature. Nature is where you connect with a higher power, a higher source, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, or just the energy of put your feet, bare feet, on the sand or on grass or on the soil. You got to connect with the earth. Get in the water, be it a river, a lake, an ocean. Water connects. Take advantage of the summer. Go outside, be in the lake. Don't just stay and watch videos all day. I mean, I appreciate you watching my videos, but get outside. Be nice to one another. Follow the money connected dots. Get the truth. And shave your knuckles for justice. That's how we make Gotham great again.